Hello and welcome to another episode of Getting Started with Dwarf Fortress for new players with me, the Mucho Mouse. So, last time we hit E, and you hopefully did too, go into the embark. And at one point, if you had sound sense going then, music should now be playing and a dwarf should have told you some funny quip. And we have this text, a dwarven outpost. You have arrived after a journey from the mountain homes into the foreboding wilderness beyond. Your harsh trek has finally ended. Your party of 7 is to make an outpost for the glory of all of Miloral. Miloral then is our dwarven civilization. That's the dwarven name. It means something other in common. We can see that afterwards. There's almost no supplies left, but with stout labor comes sustenance. Whether by bolt, plow, or hook, provide for your dwarfs. You are expecting a supply caravan just before winter entombs you. But it is spring now. Enough time to delve secure lodgings, or the dingoes get hungry. A new chapter in dwarven history begins here at this place. Ithbinikath. Or post chain. Strike the earth. So from here, I'm going to hit enter and cross my fingers that it doesn't crash. And it's going to take a little while. And we should be into the game. Alright. We have successfully loaded the game. It didn't crash. And I have paused it by hitting space immediately once I came in. So I can click around here and show you a few things. As you can hear, SoundSense is playing music. It's also giving me a weather effect. That's because it's currently raining. And here we have the map area with our river here and here, and a little pond over here. We have some dwarfs, and we have some animals, and we have some trees. And I'm going to briefly explain the interface a little bit. What we're seeing over here, what's going to come in here, and then we're going to zoom out and going to talk a little bit about what we see on screen here. What are these various symbols mean? Also the basic navigation. And then we will get into starting up digging the fortress in the next episode. So, first of all, what do we see here? Well, as I said, we have the game board or map in here. And then we have this sort of a column here. It will change depending on what we've selected. Normally it looks like this. I apparently had something selected, so I just hit escape. And this tells us what we need to hit, what buttons we need to click to get various things. And then we have sort of a mini-map over here. I don't like the mini-map, so I'm going to hit tab. That cycles through the viewports, so to speak, and takes that away. If I do a tab once again, this gets smaller, and we get more game area. And if I hit tab once again, we get only game area. I like to keep it like this. I have a fairly big monitor, and I can see, well, all I need to here. We won't be using the mouse when we play. I'll be using it to point out things. And possibly I will click somewhere. But there is one thing you can use the mouse for, and that is zooming in and out. So just by working with the scroll wheel, I'm zooming in and out on our map here. So now I have zoomed out completely, just to sort of get a feel for the map, where we are, what are we looking at, the geographical features, etc. So what I'm looking at here is a top-down view of the ground. And I can easily tell that all of this is on the same level because I can see the trunks of the trees over here. And if these were any higher, it would be black. And if it was any lower, it would look like this, with the canopies of the trees. So all of this area is flat. We have a little bit of a sort of a downward slope here on this sort of peninsula that we have going here. And we are usually somewhere near the middle of the map, which is where the dwarves embark. I actually quite like this embark because it looks to me like this river is actually down a few sea levels. So we are raised up here compared to this river. And this river is on our level here, and I think it goes into a waterfall that goes down here, and it runs down here. So, about navigation then, you use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move around, mostly. And you choose the letter, click the various letters on your keyboard to select the various things here, which will change what you're doing in here. So to get back into playing, I'm just going to zoom back in and sort of try to find the optimum zoom level, which is here. You can sort of note, you'll see that once it hits the optimum zoom level, like this is one too far out and the dwarves get a little blurry. Now there are a little more crisp details on them, better lines. And then one more in, they get a little blurry again. So I like to keep it at this level. So I'm just going to hit escape, and we are now moving around with the arrow keys. Now the other two main arrow keys, so now we have left, right, up, down. And the other two main movement keys of Dwarf Fortress is up and down in elevation. So we are currently looking at this level, and I have through DFHack we have something called multi-level view enabled, which means we see lower levels that are exposed, and we can sort of see these up arrows, which indicate that there are ramps here. That means they can walk from this level and up to this level. But to actually go down a level, we use the greater than or less than key, which is on your keyboard in the lower left corner, sandwiched between Shift, Control, and the Windows button. So by hitting that, we go up. You see everything starts sort of fading out, and we're seeing the tree canopies. Now if you hold Shift while hitting that, we go down. So now we've gone, this is our starting level, and now we go down one level. You see the top level disappears, and we're just seeing this level, and it's telling us that there are ramps up. And here we see the trunks of the trees. So we can keep going down. And we notice now, as we go down and up, that the river is clearly visible at this point and at this point, which means this is the level where the river is. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 levels up here. So we sort of have a fairly good, probably easily fortifiable peninsula here, which is very good for us. I like the start. It's very nice. Now to get started with this, you need to decide where you want to go down. But before we get into that, which will be the next episode, I will talk a little bit about what we see around here. So just clicking around or just looking around the map here, I can see these are trees, all of these brown circles. We have some water here. We can see there's some fish in the river. If I hover my mouse over it, I will see river, I will see carp. There's also some bushes. There's an alligator here. Ooh, that's actually pretty nice. We can get into that later. There's some boulders. That's a new feature in this latest release, but Yeah. I don't see anything. There's a shrub. Yeah, so basically a lot of trees, a lot of bushes, and some water. So we are now in mid-spring. Or not mid-spring, we're in early spring. The first of the spring months, which is grand night. So other than the user phase, we have, it says up here, it says paused. Down in the corner here, it says rain, which tells us the weather. A bunch of numbers down here, which we will not pay that much attention to, but it represents various numbers of dwarves, so we'll get into that later. There's also a little number up here that says 0. That is our current Z level. You will see if I go up, it turns into +1. And if I go down, it turns into 0 again, and then -1. And we will begin, before we start digging, as I say in the next episode, we will begin by inspecting our dwarfs. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit U, which is unit list, and that gives us this list of our citizens. And here we have the 7 dwarves, and they now are no longer peasants. 2 of them are miners. One is a carpenter, one is a mason, one is a hunter, one is a farmer, and the other is an expedition leader. He also probably has some other talent, but he's named expedition leader here because that is his noble position within our government. Which we will get back to at a later stage. We then use the left-right keys to navigate over to pets and livestock. We see we brought 2 stray horses. This could be good for us. If they're a male and a female, we could breed them. And then we have extra animals. We have the turkeys, we have the dogs, we have the ewe and the ram, we have the boar and the sow. Now we didn't select any horses in our embark. But there's 2 random pack animals selected for us when we embark, which has basically pulled our cart all the way to our site. We navigate one more over and we see other, and we will see that we have drakes. We have carps, we have a long-nosed cat, 2 alligators, a sturgeon and a snapping turtle are also wild animals in this map. I mentioned that the alligators could be good for us because at a later stage, if we capture these, we can breed alligators, which is a fairly exotic pet. And we have a good amount of leather available from alligators. We also get meat, we get bones. It's all kinds of goodness we can get from alligators. And the drakes, I don't know what a drake is, but we can look into that now by hitting V to view this unit. And a drake is a small water bird. It has a long neck and powerful legs meant for swimming and diving. It is incredibly muscular. Its feathers are brown, his skin is cinnamon, and his eyes are black. So that is a boy. And then we have dead and missing, and we have no one dead or missing yet. The year is still young, indicating that we probably will have someone dead and missing within the year. Hopefully not. But dwarves die all the time, horribly. So just hitting escape until I get back out into this menu. We will also check a little bit about our civilization and our world info while we're here. So we will hit C. And we get the map and we can see we're blinking over here. This is where we embarked. And we will learn here that we are the Dwarven Fortress of Postchain. Our site government is the Urn of Flames. That's the name of sort of our group of dwarfs. Their guild, so to speak. And we are a member of the civilization, the Messianic Silver. Probably butchered that name, but whatever. So that is how we look at various things within our fortress. Next episode, we're going to start digging, and I will get into the designation controls and how to manage that. But before that, actually, the next episode we will go into Dwarf Therapist and have a look at the interface there, because I am a control freak and don't want to use auto labor. So see you in a few seconds.